All right, welcome to a very big episode. I actually didn't talk about this before we went and we sat down and talked, but this is episode 30 of Nerds by Screenlight. It started with myself and James, and then continued with myself, Vicky, and James, and has now branched out into Chris, Zoe, and Phil, and me again with Vicky as well. So
I like
that's
the
exciting.
expansion. That's exciting.
Episode 30. We are currently eating HelloFresh meals. What is our meal that we're eating at the time?
They're pineapple pork tacos.
Smell delicious.
They do.
Thank you. This is our foster daughter chose this one.
Nice. So the thing about food. So I recently, this is very. We'll talk about our real actual big question at the beginning here in a moment. But so there's a YouTube channel called The Try Guys.
Yes.
I don't know if you've ever watched them. They're fantastic. But Keith, their food guy, has released over the last 2 Saturdays it's a 3-parter. So next Saturday they'll have another episode of him eating everything at the Cheesecake Factory.
Wow.
But he's actually at the Cheesecake Factory for the first time, because for all his episodes he's either in a truck or he had to come and eat at home. But Cheesecake Factory actually allowed him and invited him in to record. So he did 3 weeks worth of the entire Cheesecake Factory menu, and it is
Now you say you had everything, all the cheesecake or everything on the menu?
everything on the menu.
Whoa, that's a huge menu.
That's what Keith does. Is he goes to restaurants and he orders everything and then eats it. So he did it. The first 2 episodes are legit. I was very impressed. Wow. He has guests come in with him and help eat the food. This is why when I was like, we should just eat the food while we sit here.
Let's do it.
These are delicious.
These are
Vicky.
delicious.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
I
No,
literally
thank
dream
you.
of her tacos. She has all the different kinds. I'm not even lying.
There you go.
Last week when I couldn't eat anything, I was thinking about the tacos.
No,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, she was.
5 teeth pulled.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Zoe is in the land of the able to eat solid food. And I had a rough time with that. But yeah, HelloFresh is not our sponsor. Someday maybe. But
Please.
what we like about them is that it's easy, so we don't have to worry about dinner. We literally just sit down and then we have dinner, and it's easy. It's step by step.
I've learned some things about cooking and food from cooking with them, and the flavors are spot on.
Yep.
Yes.
Like
So-
this uses pineapples and the pineapple juice as part of the flavor.
So if you're ever looking for an option to try out, we here at the Nerds by Screenlight podcast, my microphone is having a time. We recommend HelloFresh. If you have like a 4-people meal plan, is really nice because it all comes in one bag. Their competitor, who we tried for a couple of months in tandem with HelloFresh, was Home Chef. But the way that their bags came, they didn't come all in one. They were separate bags for like the meals, and you had to like then calculate out, okay, what is it?
Organize my fridge so they're all together. It was really annoying.
Yeah, and it sounds like a first world problem.
Kind of
It
is.
is.
Let's be real.
But when you're as busy as we are, and we have a lot going on, we don't really want to have to do all that. So it worked out. So the movie question of today is 2-parter. It's a two-piecer. It's a twofer. There it is. Zoe was giving me the most obvious question, what is he doing? Is he okay? Do I need to intervene?
Are you malfunctioning?
Are you malfunctioning? Do you require a reboot? Because I got a left and a right hand that can do that for you. That's reading a little bit into what Zoe was thinking.
No, there's no AED in this building.
Yeah,
So it's not going to happen.
we don't. We have fire extinguishers, but that won't bring me back to life. That's more excitement than I need. So the question is, the 2 for question is, one is, what movie do we think, or do you think, needs a sequel or should have had a sequel, but we know that we will never see a sequel to? And the other side of it is, what movie and or movie franchise that had a sequel or sequels and should have never had those sequels? It is a big question, and I don't have an answer in my brain right now because I got to think.
I could go.
All right, Phil, what you got?
So actually, the answer for me for both of these questions, and that's going to sound weird.
Okay, I'm down.
But Fifth Element.
I
yeah.
love
And the reason why I say that answers both of the questions is that movie really deserved a sequel, but now it's been so long.
Yeah, they won't do it.
They should not do a sequel.
Yeah. So
Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
well, because he's suffering from aphasia.
Yeah.
And they actually, an article came out where, like, some friends and family were saying he's at that point now where he can't speak. He like, you see it in his eyes, you can see him, but his ability to speak is
That's
gone.
terrible.
And so that does make me sad. But yeah, no, Fifth Element is just a quirky.
It had a massive universe that we only got to see a little piece of, and I wanted to see more.
I agree, and it's really the like when you talk about like design of that movie, it is absolutely it's like Blade Runner, but it took a run somewhere else.
Yeah.
it went off in a fantastical direction, and the bad guy is so almost cartoony, but he is menacing. Like he's he's crazy and he's kind of funny, but he's also like, okay, this dude's serious. Like we don't want to mess around with this guy.
I mean that weapon he buys off of the space park.
Yes.
That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. It's like all the weapons from Doom and Quake mixed into one.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's a good movie. I agree with that. I agree that I think if there was going to be a sequel, it would have had to have been made like 5 years maybe after it had come out.
Yeah.
Because the longer it goes, the older Bruce Willis gets, the older Mila Jovovich gets. Like it just becomes kind of like, again, that risk of not a good situation to have a sequel, because it just feels like it's a consolation prize. But I need to go watch that movie again. Maybe we watch that movie at some point for Nerds by Screenlight, because that is just
it, to be honest.
You've never seen it.
No, I've never
Gotta
seen
seen
it.
it.
I know.
You
well,
got to.
it's very sci-fi.
Yeah.
It's very
That's why. Because sci-fi is hit or miss with me.
Yeah, it's a fantastic one. All right, Zoe, what is your?
Oh God. Okay, so my one for like that needs a sequel, but will probably never have one is Mean Girls.
Oh, interesting.
That kind of came out of nowhere, but I really did wish like back in the day there was a part 2 or like Mean Girls 2, but
I feel like that's something that they could reboot.
they could, but I don't know if it would ever happen if they could get everyone to come back.
That'd be cool though.
The other one's kind of hard. The only thing that's coming to mind, and I don't, everyone's gonna hate me for saying this, but like the Matrix, the newest Matrix.
No, I agree. I feel like they should have stopped with the first one.
Yeah.
I agree.
So Zoe, I have bad news for you.
There's
was
not a Mean Girls 2.
There is a Mean Girls 2 in 2011.
Wow.
The same people?
No.
Okay.
It's not the same when you do that.
No, let's see. Yeah, so Mean Girls 2, which I didn't know I existed until I just Googled it now.
Like, I'm going to Google
had
this.
no
And I was like, because I remembered like there being some conversation about a Mean Girls 2. Like I heard it like in the ether, in the zeitgeist of the culture mentioned. But yeah, there was a Mean Girls 2. Megan Martin, whoever she is. So a bunch of the names I'm not sure I recognize really well. I'm sure they did a wonderful job in the acting and the whatever. Like no shame in the game, but they're not. The Plastics are back in the long-awaited follow-up to the smash hit Mean Girls, and now the clique is more fashionable, funny, and ferocious than ever.
Oh.
The tagline is "The Plastics are back."
But they're not.
They're not. It was well, yeah.
That should be the
it's-
tagline. They're back.
The
but they're
plastic
not.
should have remained plastic. Yeah, no, there was a sequel. Moves to North Shore High School. The
See,
father.
when sequels go straight to video, that's when you know.
Right.
Well, I don't know if this was. I think this was actually a movie.
What?
But did it make it to theaters is what I'm saying.
I think it did.
Really?
I think so. I think this was actually.
I don't remember this
don't
at
either.
all.
I feel like vaguely I could see this being a sequel, but I don't remember it much.
Yeah, it's when Joe Mitchell moves to North Shore High School. The father of a girl named Abby offers to put Joe through her dream school, Carnegie Mellon, if she will befriend Abby, who is targeted as a rival by the plastic queen bee Mandy. Oh, Tim Meadows is the only one that came back. So he was the principal. He came back for this one.
Oh, so they put the principal.
They only one they could get back is Tim Meadows is his name. Yeah.
Well, it's probably Lindsay Lohan that would have been the hardest, honestly.
Yeah. So they did it. They made it. You know what? We should let's put that on the list of something to watch and just be like, why did they make this movie?
Yes.
Do I want to pay to rent this movie?
You know what we might do is we might just like rent it here and then like we can all just sit down
We'll
in
have
front
a
of our
movie
couch.
night.
We'll have a movie night and we'll record our reactions as we go and
Okay.
put that on the podcast.
I
It's
would love
gonna
that.
be.
I reserve the right to heckle sequels.
It's gonna
Yes.
be great. All right, so Vicky, what is your 1 and 2?
For the sake of my inner child, I have always kind of wanted a sequel to Forrest Gump. I always wanted to know what happened to the little boy. That ending. I grew up on that movie. It's one of my favorites. It's one of those I can quote forwards and backwards in terms of what they never should have made. Oh, the list is long. I think the musical part of me is like The Land Before Time. The dinosaurs should have never started singing.
Hey,
No.
I grew up and loved those movies.
Me too.
Oh, all of them, really?
Not
I
all.
like the first one.
I like the first 3 or 4.
Okay.
After that, like, I think the last one that I really liked was when they introduced the baby T-Rex Chomper, I think.
Okay, that could be cute. And I want to go on record being I'm not saying there's bad singers. They get on my nerves.
There's oh gosh, I wish I knew exactly how many. I think there are over 20 movies of Land Before Time.
What? I didn't know that.
It's just too many.
There's way too many.
Yeah. That's
It's the first one that comes to mind when I think of too many sequels is.
But that first one though is so iconic.
Yeah.
And the tree stars and the mom and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll give you that one because I do remember the second one being pretty good.
So now it's to me, of course, and I'm trying to like. Okay.
Come on, movie critic.
Okay. Okay. All right. Don't let that sparkling grape juice get to your head. I think the one that shouldn't have been had a sequel was The Matrix.
Yeah.
And here's why: is that it was The Matrix. I gotta look at the sequels here. So we got The Matrix with the original Matrix, which, without question, is one of the greatest films
100%.
of all time. Like it is an absolute. There is before The Matrix and there is after The Matrix.
Oh yeah, it affected the Barbie movie. There's a Matrix reference in that. You know, how long ago was that movie made? Like 20 years at least.
More 1999.
See, that's kind of incredible.
So there's a book. I picked up a book, and it's sitting upstairs, but it's called 1999: The Best Year in Movies, and that's The Matrix was a part of that revolution. You think about the technology that they use. You think about that everything that happened in that movie is just mind-boggling. Now we had the 3 Matrix sequels after that, and they were okay. They weren't. I think by the third one hit, and we're just like, could you please stop this?
Yes.
And then. Then they went back and did The Matrix Reloaded or whatever the movie that they came out with recently.
Yeah.
And it was awful.
Yeah.
It was not good.
Too meta.
It was, the Resurrections, The Matrix Resurrections. I saw the trailers and I was like, what are you doing? And what have you done? Like, it reboots the whole universe, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I haven't watched it. I need to sit down.
They don't even know they're trying to look for each other. Like, it's so sad.
The thing is, like, I know I've seen it and I've watched it with Zoe, but I don't remember much about it.
You don't remember how cheesy?
It's forgettable. Like, I thought some of the fight scenes were okay, but as far as like plot and storyline,
they literally basically make fun of themselves the entire time.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, they do.
That's delightful. So there's
sometimes tongue-in-cheek works, like Nimper's New Groove. I feel like it works really well to make a Disney reference, but
in the Matrix Resurrection. You know what? I might just have to watch it just to suffer. A side note before we go to our musical introduction break, Trinity's death in the last Matrix movie was. I'm just thinking about it. I remember just being so annoyed with how long it took her to die. You go back and like YouTube Trinity's death, and you'll understand why I hate it so much. It's terrible. But yeah, Matrix Resurrections. So there you go. The movie that I wanted to have a sequel.
Aaron's like none.
I mean, they'll never make one because we don't need it. Like that, the fanboy part of me would love to see another Back to the Future movie.
Yeah.
But the problem is that it would take an extraordinary story to tell that.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's. I think we've told enough of those stories. I'm trying to think of other movies that I've watched that I would really love to see a sequel to. Because I mean, James Bond already has its sequels. I'm happy with those. There's not a lot of movies that I would be like, oh, I want to see another. I want to see what happens next, because a good film ends the story right. You don't need to see more. You don't need to see what happens next. You don't need to see.
Yeah, in terms of movies with incomplete endings, the only ones that come to mind for me are Forrest Gump or Monty Python: The Quest for the Holy Grail.
Yes.
What is that ending?
Right.
What is that ending?
It's the ending it deserved because it's a fantastic little movie. Okay, well, that's where I think. That's where I feel. All right, when we come back, it's time for Arsenic and Old Lace. Plus, we're going to get into the Disney. We're going to have a knockdown, drag-out fight over. I don't know. going to do.
Woo.
It's going to be great. When we come
Excited.
back,
Tier list.
yeah, it's gonna prepare yourself. The Disneyfication of the Nerds by Screenlight is coming up next. We're not going to be singing, so you'll be okay. No need to drop your headphones.
Aw.
Yeah, you don't want to hear this sing. All right, we'll be back here in just a second on here. Oh, boy. Nerds by Screenlight. We'll be right back after this.
Get nerdy with me.
It's a perfect conversation.
Talk nerdy to me.
Talk nerdy to me. Get nerdy with me. All I really need for you to do is just please
I can stop.
talk to me. Talk nerdy to me.
I'm obsessed with their song. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Oh, nice. Well, I appreciate it. All right, we are back to the... Oh, boy, I almost
sorry.
did it.
You did almost do it.
I was just talking about
Oh,
it. So.
man.
Nerds by
Screenlight
Screenlight.
here on the podcast. So last week, myself and Vicky and Chris talked a little bit about Arsenic and Old Lace, but Phil and Zoe they had watched it, but they were unable to make it. So now they're here to have that conversation about Arsenic and Old Lace.
Yeah.
So what were your thoughts as you watched Arsenic and Old Lace?
I thought it was bonkers.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
That's like all I can think of.
it's so.
Or playing the bugle so badly.
I know.
I'm told Zoe. I'm like, every character in this movie is insane
Right.
or going insane.
Yeah.
But I would definitely say it's going to be on my top Halloween list now. Like,
Yeah.
I will watch it every
Yeah,
I
day.
didn't actually realize it was a Halloween movie.
Yeah.
The thing is like, even though I've never seen it before, it has a very nostalgic feeling to it while watching it. It reminds me a lot of those old like Hammer films and Universal monsters.
Yeah.
and-
So funny story. Boris Karloff was he played the character in the stage show. Everybody else got permission to go and play and be in the movie, but for whatever reason, Universal kept Boris Karloff off of it. I think they
Wow.
were afraid he would get the show would drop, the stage show would drop in popularity if he was away to be filming.
Huh.
And so that's why in the movie they say, "Oh, he looks like Boris Karloff," because they were trying to give him tribute for the fact
Gotcha.
that he was the originator of the Jonathan character and how it was characterized on stage. And it was but it is that Universal like the Wolfman.
It
and all
was
those guys.
it was so funny because I looked at Zoe and I was like, this guy really looks like Boris Karloff. And then like literally a minute later,
Yeah.
he reveals that he killed somebody for comparing him
Yeah, to Boris Karloff.
Boris. And I was like, ooh, I'm glad he didn't hear me. You
Yeah.
know?
He looked to scream at him, "You're next."
The sisters are so adorable how they just like kind of hop
Oh my
around
Yeah.
like all excitedly
Yeah.
and like they're a little bit hypocritical because it's like, oh, Jonathan scares me, but they're literally murdering
Meanwhile.
people.
Right.
Charity, dear.
Meanwhile, in the basement, the bodies.
Well, there's some
continue to pile
trauma
up.
in there. This is one reason I'm glad you're on because there's some like indicators of some serious trauma in that family that is
Definitely.
definitely, I think, from an outsider psychology perspective, developed the descent into madness for them.
Yes, and I almost feel like Cary Grant at the end is so excited that he's actually adopted. He's like, oh,
Yeah, he's like, thank
God.
I'm
Go
a part of
crazy.
this family."
Well, because you look at each family member, like the aunts, they're certifiable.
oh yes.
I mean, if you sat down with them and you did like a DSM, well, at that time probably it was a DSM 2 or 3. I don't know what the DSM what
It was
version.
demons
Yeah.
back then. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, maybe shock treatment, I guess.
Yeah.
Went to that.
Whatever.
Was that the 30s? and the
Lobotomy.
40s?
Yeah, lobotomy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even then, like they like in the DSM 4 or whatever 5 now, I guess. They would have been like diagnosed with a lot of things, because there's this idea that they're bringing mercy to these old lonely men. Like, oh, it's a mercy, dear. We're trying to help them.
They look so peaceful.
Like so peaceful. It's like, ma'am, they're peaceful because you poisoned them with elderberry wine.
It's oh god, that scene where Mortimer's inside and he's
Yeah.
like on the phone trying to
Right.
get stuff going, and
Yeah.
then an old guy walks in and
Oh,
he
it's the
almost he shouts out, "No!"
And it flips over the chair. It's like
Flips
my
right
favorite
over the
part.
chair. That's how I was like, this movie is crazy. Definitely.
But I love how it just jumps right in, and you're like
Yeah.
instantly engaged
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
what's happening.
Yeah, there's no precursor. There's no front loading of any kind of exposition.
Yeah.
It's just like, hey, and it's what I love about it is so there's this weird, and I'm sure there's a reason for it, but there's like the weird opening scene where there's the baseball being
Yeah,
played.
I was like, why is this
and the
in here?
benches get cleared, and I was like, okay, I'm sure there's a historical reason to include the baseball game because maybe that actually did happen. And then we get the he's on the steamship or whatever,
Yeah.
or the ship and getting married. There's like a line, so there's apparently like a marriage thing on a boat, and that's where everybody is. Like the line you see is insane.
It is insane.
It's like-
So, by the way, I was doing some behind the scenes like research about that scene. During that time, interracial marriage was illegal,
okay.
and there's some interspersed like interracial couples waiting in line. That's Hollywood trying to be like a little edgy.
Okay.
Like if you kind of look at the couples, though, you're like, oh, that gets still like problematic, but
Right.
they're trying.
Right.
They're being inclusive, which I think is kind of cool.
So yeah, they get in line, and we find out that he's a best-selling author, and he's anti-marriage, and the guys are like, well, if that's Mortimer, why is he getting married? That's the weirdest thing ever. And he's trying to hide himself, and then someone says, what is your name? He's like, Mortimer. Blah, blah, blah. Like, what is your name? I'm Mortimer. Blah, blah. And he runs off. But it's like a slow burn.
Right.
Like but it engages you. Like you're going, okay, what's gonna happen? You now know that he hates marriage. You now know he's a best-selling author.
And his fiance is not phased at all. She
No.
she pouts at the most, like, "You're not gonna marry me, Mortimer." I was like, "You should maybe be running for the hills.
Yeah, for real.
Don't marry
Red
this
flag.
guy."
And he's like throwing someone out of a telephone booth to hide from him.
Yeah.
Like you learn that he's like a bit eccentric a bit.
Yes.
He's,
I think if we ever were to do a study of his now, I mean, obviously they get married, so whatever, but the perspective of her story, like what?
Yeah.
Because she talks about how her dad, that's her father. When with the beginning of the movie, when it's father, whatever his name is, and he's talking to the aunts, that's her dad.
I did not put that together.
Yeah. So
Okay.
he's the father, the
pastor's daughter.
Pastor's daughter.
Okay.
And so
Gotcha.
he's there, and he's like, oh, no, 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 no. And so then it's like, oh, my dad was. I guess he doesn't like Mortimer very much, or is not trusting.
Well, there's
of
the
him.
idea of like she's like the good girl and
Uh-huh.
like the bad boy. It's like, at least in my experience,
Yeah.
like they're just like a moth to a flame.
Yeah.
Took
Well,
a
and
nap.
what's interesting, we'll touch on this a little bit and kind of dance around it as much as we can. But there was a lot. So obviously they're getting married, so they're heading to a honeymoon, and the movie was a lot more. What's the word I'm looking for? A lot more. No, the word's not explicit, but it was a lot
Racy?
more. Yeah, about
Kind of was.
because
It was.
of like the first time marriage, whatever. But apparently, what ended up on the cutting room floor was a lot more like very clear of what they were like, why they were so excited. It's like, oh, we get to go do the thing and whatever. And then the movie, the guys and I guess the directors and everything, they did cut a little bit of that out, but you can see parts of it where they're like chasing each other and like she's hiding behind the tree, and it's just like, what is going on here? So there's parts of the movie that you're like, oh, this is where it was. Okay.
can we just mention like what their honeymoon was supposed to be? They wanted to go
To Niagara Falls.
to Niagara Falls and go down it in a barrel.
Yeah.
Oh, I missed that. I was
How
listening to the hotel
insane
room.
is that?
Well, the plan was they would eat dinner on like the restaurant overlooking, and then they would get in a barrel and do all the adventure and everything like that. So this is not a normal like kind of honeymoon for them.
No.
They're gonna go crazy and have a lot of fun. And I liked it because it's just like, again, we get a picture of the wife, and because I'm awesome and I didn't Google any of this. The Brewster family, blah blah blah. I gotta find her. What's his name? What's her name? Oh my goodness.
Elaine?
No. Yeah, Elaine. Hey, look at you. You got it. So Elaine, they get married. They go to her father's house to tell her father and pack for the honeymoon. Elaine is this character. So you got to figure they probably had a long courtship because this is again the 19.
Well, they would have been like neighbors,
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. So they would have known each other, but probably again 1940s. We're talking. This movie's set in like the 40s to the 40s,
Yeah.
early to late 40s. There would have been a courtship. It would have been extended. There would have been a lot of time, and then the engagement would have occurred and would have been an extended period of time as well. So she has long known that Mortimer's nuts. and that he's a little unbalanced and he's a little bonkers, and she's kind of used to that. So like the initial weird and wacky things that happen to her with him with the whole marriage thing, and then he gets to the house and he starts freaking out because there's dead bodies. She just kind of goes, okay, like whatever, let's go. Like she's just like, this is normal, Mortimer. But then the Mortimer, I would call it the Mortimer. I can't come up with another alliteration for Mortimer for M. The Mortimer.
Malfunction.
Hey! The Mortimer malfunction scale starts to go beyond what she's probably used to. And that's when she starts to go like, why are you doing this? What is going on?
Because he doesn't even care that she got strangled by his brother.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
He like literally picks her up and sets her outside.
Yeah.
Like, you go home now.
I did like that scene just for the absolute absurdity of it, because it's just like he's so... She's the fly in the ointment. If she's here, she's going to distract him. She's going to get into trouble.
He's got to take care of this.
Right.
He made it look like
Now.
she weighed 5 pounds
yeah, for real.
with how quickly he moved her.
He's like, there you go. And then he shuts the door on her face. But there is so much going on in this movie. There is a lot happening.
And the poor cab driver.
Oh
he
my
was there
gosh.
the
Yeah.
entire
Sitting
time.
outside the-
I did watch a couple of reactions. Every last one of them brought up the cab driver and said, did he get paid? The
Right.
poor guy.
He's like, you own 2 of these now. So, referring
Like
to the car.
$22. Yeah.
Speaking of the sentiment of madness, even the cab driver is affected by it at
Right.
the end.
Yeah.
I'm a teapot. It's like, oh boy.
We've all gone mad now.
It's great. But it's I love it because it's not obviously, it's a movie made in the 40s, so it's obviously not very offensive. It's a classic, but it's funny because Carrie. So we talked about this on the last episode with Chris and everything. But what I love about this movie is they didn't do what they were going to do originally. So the movie was being made, and then Pearl Harbor happened, and so the director had to get was
He
called
was
up.
recruited or
He was recruited,
drafted,
drafted. And so initially, like Cary Grant said, "Hey, I'm a little bit out of control in my acting. Let's tone it down." And everyone else was like, "Yeah, you're a little out of control. You're amping it up a little bit. Let's go back and we'll edit, we'll reshoot, we'll get it fixed." They never got to do that. So what you see is Cary Grant just taking apart the scenery, just eating up the scripts, just going crazy. I like it because it's so zany. It's so out of control, and it's
almost like the Three Stooges.
it is, and it's. I would again, we're in 2023. They were in 1941, 1940. My feeling is like I just love watching it. I love Cary Grant slowly but surely lose his mind.
Yes.
Because everything, like, it starts with like he opens up the little coat thing by the door, opens and goes like and it breaks him.
Yeah, he does a double take.
The
And then he's
facial
like,
Like,
expressions.
what did I
Yeah,
just
his
see?
facial expressions are amazing.
They are on
yeah,
point.
Yeah.
I think if you were ever to compare Cary Grant to anyone we know, it would be like a Jim Carrey.
Yes.
He was very
Yeah.
physical in his comedy.
I'd agree with that.
He had a lot of expression in his face. Cary Grant could play a serious role, but he could play a comedy. And
I've heard it compared to George Clooney. What do you guys think of that?
I don't know, because Clooney's face. I talk like I know George. Oh, George's
Look at
face.
Georgie.
Georgie, how you doing? We're back to that again. Oh,
Here we
good.
go.
Oh God, here we go.
That works beautifully.
I'm gonna get letters now. First it was George whatever from Star Wars. Now it's George Clooney. How many Georges we got? George Burns. Yeah, I think no, because George Clooney doesn't have a lot of facial
Right.
I would
True.
agree. He's just
anima.
suave.
Yeah, he's just suave.
And I think that's why the Cary Grant thing came, because usually he's the suave.
Yeah, I could
like-
see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
But
Cary
he
Grant-
really shows his comedy chops in this movie.
So if you've ever we've watched it actually. It's a movie with Audrey Hepburn called Charade.
Yeah, it's really good.
And he does some physical kind of facial animated stuff, like some stuff he does here. But that movie is just fun because it's so like you don't know what's going on. It's kind of a mystery, but it's also a comedy. And of course, Audrey Hepburn and him on stage in the movie is fantastic.
Anything with Audrey Hepburn.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, she's beautiful.
it's a brilliant thing. So yeah, he his facial expressions, and I love it because it's slowly but surely the descent into madness. It gets when you think it's like, okay, they've got it figured out. Like we'll move the body downstairs.
Something else
It's
happens.
okay. Jonathan,
Which they drop, by the way.
He falls down the stairs.
That's right.
with
I
the
forgot
body.
about that.
As soon as the door shuts when they cross through to the stairs, all you hear is crashing. So you can just left to assume they dropped the guy
It's fine.
and just went on about their day.
Yeah, I love it because Jonathan, we get hints of him, like, oh, like Jonathan, he disappeared, you know, your brother Jonathan, but they don't hit us over the head with it.
Right.
We know as movie watchers, we're like, okay, well, Jonathan is obviously mentioned, like something's gonna happen here. What are we gonna talk about? What's Jonathan? And when Jonathan shows up, oh boy, he is a force of nature.
I love this style of the villain in the old films. It's just very subtle. It's all in the face.
Yes.
It's all in
And
the
there's
eyes.
always a doctor.
Yeah, Dr. Einstein. Well, and to your point, it's also the lighting.
Yes.
So the beauty of black and white, and I would love for us as a Hollywood culture or movie for us to return to doing that every so often, having some black and white features, because the power of black and white filmmaking is it requires you to do a heck of a lot more work.
Yeah.
Because you don't have the colors to make the
Yeah.
statements. All you've got are the various shades of black to white.
And
The
like
rays.
that first time when they go down to the basement
Yeah.
before turning on the lights, it's just you can't see anything.
Yep.
It's just pitch black.
Yep.
That was pretty awesome.
Well, and even like when you see them, like the shadows coming and stuff like
Yep.
that, it is absolutely amped up, and you're like, oh, this is scary. This is the stuff.
They actually used like that one scene where the what's his name? Jonathan?
Yeah.
He's talking to his doctor on the stairwell.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And you
it's
can
just a
see-
shadow.
You just
Oh,
see
yeah.
Jonathan's shadow talking to him, and
Yeah.
the doctor, you see him on camera.
Yeah, and he's just kind of shrinking away. Oh, Jonathan,
It's like a dark spirit talking to
Yeah.
him.
It
or
gave me
something.
very much Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just, and you like, you know, everyone, like, everything's gonna be okay because it's a comedy mostly, but you also just like that it's that unconscious and subconscious fear and understanding that if this movie turned into a drama, Jonathan's a killer. Like,
Yeah.
and what's funny is we talked about this last week. Jonathan gets mad because he gets compared to his aunt's killing record. He's like,
I need one more.
There's a competition
well,
going
they go
on.
through the count, and Einstein's like, no, Jonathan, you only have the 12. And he's like, no, there was 30. He's like, oh, the guy and this and that. And they go through, and they talk about how they all got murdered. And he forgot about one, or he thought, oh, well, this one, I killed this one. No, Jonathan,
No, he died of
he
pneumonia.
died of pneumonia. But I stabbed
the
him
guy-
like 7 times, but he was dead before. It's just like, Jonathan is a crazy man.
They're all crazy.
But he gets mad because he's losing the
Yeah.
killing
Yeah,
battle with
yeah.
his aunts,
Yeah.
and that's what he seizes on. Like, not the fact that he needs to get out of town, he needs to escape, he's got to go. No. Now it's a game of I need to kill one more so that I'm a better killer than my aunts.
Yeah.
And I love his discovery that his aunts are killers. He just goes, really? What? And it's
It all makes sense
it-
now.
and he kind of
This
goes,
is where I get it from. Ah.
yeah. It's I love it because he's so calm and cool and collected, but he's also just like this. It gives him that ammunition to then threaten everybody else with, I'll expose you, whatever.
Blackmail.
I'll blackmail all of you. Yeah, I
But
just
then the cops, like, they're just portrayed as being
They're
so
such
dumb.
idiots.
Yeah.
Especially the one that's like, I have a screenplay.
Yeah.
He leaves him gagged and tied up as that. Oh, you have to listen now. Let me tell you everything.
it's so wacky. I love it because, and then like the other officers come in, and that's what undoes Jonathan is that they say, oh, we're looking for a guy who looks like Boris Karloff, and they look at Jonathan and they go, oh, and the beauty of what Jonathan mishears it. They hear, oh, we got him, whatever.
Yeah.
They're not thinking, oh, Teddy. He's thinking, oh, and so then he confesses, and they're like, oh, it wasn't you, but now you're talking. Okay, let's do this. And then he gets,
Someone compares him to Boris Karloff, and
Yeah.
things go haywire.
yeah, he's
Yeah, that's,
Yes.
that's
Okay,
his
so-
trigger.
That's my favorite scene, by the way.
yeah, the fight in the living room that we don't really see a lot of. We see it from Jonathan or from Mortimer's perspective, and there's chairs are flying.
Yeah, and at that point, he's just so fed up.
He doesn't
He's
even
done. He's
care.
just
He,
like,
he
go
asked-
fight, fine.
He asked for the telephone, and Jonathan like hands it up to him through the stairs while he's getting punched in the face.
Yep.
That was amazing. Mortimer was so done at
He
that
was.
moment.
Well, he's just like, oh, okay, well, there you go. Don't, and like a chair gets broken. Oh, we'll have to clean that up. Oh, it's no matter. I'll take care of it. And he narrates the whole situation, and there's no music. It's just you are in the midst of a just drop, knock down, drag out fight, and it's just there are so many moments in this movie that are so sublime and so wonderful. I love this movie.
And it doesn't even feel like a 2-hour movie. It went by
Yeah.
so fast. I was like, wait,
Yeah.
it's over?
Yeah, it's one of my favorites. And then there's a moment I think towards the end where someone hits Jonathan with a shoe, and that's what knocks
It's
him
the
out.
doctor. He's like, oh, I've tried that. Oh, no, it actually works.
Yeah.
I'm just like, that's
Well, because
not
you
realistic.
can't stab him in the foot. Nothing else will work. But if you hit him in the head with a shoe,
Oh yeah, so
that's
there's
the ticket.
that moment where like,
He's, like, poking him
Mortimer's
with the fork.
talking, and he's just like, what's
It's
going
like poking him with a fork in
Yeah.
the leg.
Really, it's like
Is he real?
Frankenstein.
Yeah.
He doesn't feel anything. Nothing.
But it's like those little moments that it's not played for absurd humor. It's just it's funny because he's kind of just going, what? It's allowed to happen, and the movie trusts you as an audience to see the humor in it.
Yeah.
There's no need to explain what's happening.
Right.
It's just this is what's going on, and you're watching this, and it's great.
I'm kind of curious, like, how much of it was improv or if it was all directed.
Most of it's stage based, so it's based on an Arsenic Old Lace play, which is a classic, and a lot of high schools. I don't know if high schools do it anymore, but when I was in high school, I was in middle school, and my high school did it, and it's meant to be a
Ooh.
comedy. It is an absolute. It's similar to like
So
a Shakespeare.
fun.
Yeah, Shakespeare.
I mean, I'd love
comedies.
to be one of those old ladies. That'd
Yeah.
be so fun to
Yeah.
play that part.
Yeah, so it's based on that.
I seen her cake and
Yeah. So it's based on that, and there was probably some, because obviously Cary Grant is just, that's how good he is, but for the most part it stays true to the plot of the movie. So there's a whole genre of movies from this time period with Cary Grant and all these actors and actresses. They're both dramas and dramas and comedies. There we go. And I think at some point we might want to put those on the list of like kind of like exploring that, because I would argue that the golden age of Hollywood, part of it was in that time, because there were just good movies with good plots, good stuff. There's not a lot today. There's not a lot of good movies that I would watch. Most of it's like the horror and scary movies that you enjoy, but I'm just like I don't go to see those. But our actors are still on strike, by the way. Our writers are back to work, but our actors are still on
Actors
strike.
are still okay.
And here's an interesting update is, so did you ever watch The Nanny when you were a kid?
yes.
So she's the president of SAG-AFTRA. Fran Drescher is the president of SAG-AFTRA.
That's epic.
She's the president of the actors union. It is absolutely
Go girl.
She's legit. What's happening now though is the strike has gone on for so long.
Yeah.
And speaking of George Clooney, so George Clooney and a bunch of other high-paid actors were like, "Hey, we'll pay into the SAG-AFTRA fund. We'll work to make it so that like the people who are the lowest paid get the money first." Like they had a bunch of ideas, and it's the first sign where Fran Drescher was like, "They can't do that. What they're suggesting is illegal. We can't actually break that rule." And they don't know what they're doing. But people are starting to go, "We've been doing this since May."
Yeah.
And the actors who are not making millions, who did not make their millions, they're only making so much. And they're not making anything. And so the SAG-AFTRA fund is only able to pay them so much when they're on strike.
Right.
And so now the concern is the studios aren't moving, because what they're asking for feels like a lot more than what they're going to get. And Fran Drescher as SAG-AFTRA president has been like, "Yeah, no, we're getting it. We're going to get it. Nothing can be the same after this." And there's a danger in trying to really like bust the business to get what you want versus busting the business, getting what you want, and then the economic situation of how we make movies gets broken all over again. Right. And so there's I'm worried that they're not going to do this well, and then it's going to blow up, and we're going to have a lot of actors who it's all actors. Like it's not just your big names; it's everybody's on strike. Mm-hmm. I was watching the Try Guys, and they had an actress on, and she's like, "Yeah, I was making good money when I was working, but I'm broke now because the strike." Oh. And it's like, yeah, that's what you happen when you strike. Like if you go for longer. You're not going to be able to get that money back, because eventually the fund that they're using to pay you from the striking organizations,
it's going to run out.
It's going to run out.
Yeah.
Well, that's the issue right now with the auto strike that's happening. They have a lot of money, but the more people they start pulling off the line and pulling out of striking with those guys, that money's going to go bye-bye soon. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be like, well, we don't have it anymore. So it's like there's that balance, and you got to be mindful. So I'm hopeful, because the writers got it figured out. I'm hopeful the actors can figure it out.
Otherwise, we're going to see wave 2 of reality TV.
Oh, gosh, no, please.
I think YouTube
I
will
love
probably
reality TV.
do better than that, though.
Well, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. And I've made this point a couple times before. We have such a glut of content
Yeah.
available to us there is such a big backlog of media that we can consume.
Yeah.
We can go find it. There's nothing stopping me from going and watching MASH or watching Cheers or watching any Star Trek. All my Star Trek, I got all of that. I get access to all of it. So why not just go watch that? And I don't, my new shows, and there's a couple new shows that I'd like to see. It is what it is. Like I'm okay with not having it. But I think what might be dangerous is, and this is the last thing we'll say before we move on to Disney, is that people might find out that they really don't need those shows as much as they think they do.
Yeah.
True.
And they'll cut the cord. They'll leave the streaming. They'll go do something else with their life because, I don't care. I can go look in the sunshine. I can go play at the park. I can go do things. It's like, we warned you, Hollywood.
Before we move on to Disney, I feel like a big feature of this film was elderberry.
Yeah.
It's not often used, and I feel like
The
we should have some
elderberry wine.
exposure to it. So option 1, you can take a smell of this elderberry bubble bath. Option 2, there is these immune support gummies. So
Okay.
once if you want, so you decide.
I will smell the bubble bath.
You'll smell the bubble bath. All right.
Yeah.
I will too, because I feel like those are gonna get stuck in my teeth.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm like really or hyper whatever about my mouth now.
Fair.
Yeah. I was
Aware.
hyper aware.
I'm gonna smell.
I
I'm sure it smells good.
Aaron, what do you
I
want
was
to
going
do?
to say I don't know what it
Do you want a
smells like,
gummy
but
or
I
do you
guess
want
it smells
that's
like
awesome.
elderberry.
See?
That smells amazing. I like it.
well, so do the old ladies because that's how they.
Do you want to smell the bubble bath or have the gummy?
No, I smell the bubble bath. It smells sweet, but apparently, I guess in the movie they talk about how the elderberry hides the poison, so
Yeah,
they don't
the arsenic
they
and the
don't,
cyanide.
They don't taste it when it goes down, which is pretty fantastic.
It's just like a rich kind of berry
Yeah.
taste.
All right. Well, when we come back, because we'll do a short musical break for the first time. Well, not the first time, but we've done it before, but we'll do it again. When we come back, we're going to talk Disney, and we're going to talk about so they call it the golden era of Disney. And there's a guy on YouTube. He's called Sideways 740 or something, and he literally does musical work with all of he's done deep dives into Disney. He's also done deep dives into Les Mis and the musical that was made it was so terrible. He's also done a deep dive into Beauty and the Beast and why it's so terrible. And
You're talking about the movie versions,
Yeah.
not the Broadway versions.
no movie versions only.
Just checking.
And then he dug into Cats and talked about how Cats was so bad. Yeah.
I mean,
Taylor
do
Swift.
you have eyeballs?
Yeah, if you have a pulse and you can see, you know how bad it is. And with that segue, we'll be right back to talk about Disney and the good, the bad, and the ugly, and maybe some other stuff. We'll see here on Nerds by Screenlight. Be right back in a sec. All right, welcome back to Nerds by Screenlight. My name is Aaron.
I'm Phil.
I'm Zoe.
I'm Vicky.
So we're going to dig into some Disney. We're obviously not going to talk about Star Wars because we already talked about that conversation in depth a bit before. So there is a long list. So I'm looking at D23, which lists the Disney movies from start to finish. If you can believe it, are you ready for it? How many Disney movies there are currently?
100?
812.
Whoa!
Holy.
Way off.
Now that includes Marvel, that includes Star
Okay.
Wars,
Yeah,
that
okay,
includes
yeah, that makes
Straight
all
to
of it.
video and
Yeah, that includes everything. So
and
eight,
probably their Disney Channel exclusive movies.
Yeah, fair.
I don't know about that. It may, but there's there's a lot in here. So let's go with this, and I'll come up with mine here on the fly. So I'll let you guys think about this. Your top, top 5, top 3, top movies, kind of at your, and I want to be mindful because Pixar is its own separate creation.
It should be treated as
And
separate.
I want to save Pixar for another future podcast because I want to focus on the classic Disney kind of stable that we know and love and have gotten used to. So we start in 1937 with the original Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and this list goes all the way to 2023 with the new Haunted Mansion, which is the second movie that has ever had that title. The first one was with Eddie Murphy, I think, and that was okay. I never watched it, but it didn't get too terrible of whatever. So for me, I think my some of my favorite Disney movies, and a lot of them come from the classic. They call it the kind of the Renaissance of Disney, and it came because these two guys came in to do their musicals, and so it started in. I actually can look this
Like
up.
the 90s, I think.
Yeah, there's a whole thing about it. So give me 2 seconds to find. So the Disney Renaissance, Renaissance. So the Disney Renaissance is the period from 1989 to 1999, in which Walt Disney Feature Animations returned to producing critically and commercially successful films.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So from 89 to 99, which is what I'm going to go to my
That
list
was my
here.
childhood, basically.
So
Major
80,
myself
89. Here. So here, let's take a look at what it. So it says 89 to 89 to 99. Okay. So in 1989, starting in 1989, I'm going to go to 1989. So we have some of them. Some of these are actually not animated movies. These are probably like whatever.
Okay.
Because they list Dead Poets Society as a Disney movie.
Really?
But it could be because it's underneath Touchstone, right?
You should see that one,
Yeah.
Aaron.
Oh, it's beautiful. You would love it.
Yeah,
No.
it's on my list. So Touchstone covers, which is interesting because in 1989, one of my favorite movies with Tom Hanks and the dog, Turner and Hooch.
Yes.
That movie,
It's funny.
it is absolutely hilarious. It's peak Tom Hanks. The dog is amazing.
I feel like it's underrated. It's
it is.
funny.
It absolutely is. So then we had. So we'll go through this, and if you guys want to enter into conversation about these, the Disney Renaissance, and then we'll talk about others. So Little Mermaid,
Yes.
Yes.
classic,
Classic.
of course. The music in that movie is very sing-alongy. It's a part of our culture. It's a part of our zeitgeist.
Yeah, I'm teaching our 4th and 5th grade choir. We have a medley of villain songs, and one of them is Poor Unfortunate Souls. And it is so much fun.
Yeah.
Yep. So the next movie they had, so they have a bunch of Disney movie tunes and stuff like that. But the next actual one was The Rescuers Down Under, which is a classic, and I enjoy
Yes.
it. In '91, White Fang comes out, which is
My
Vicky's
favorite book of all time.
Favorite book of all time, and then Rocketeer in '91.
Uh-huh.
Which is a Disney movie. It's not a Touchstone. It's
Yes,
an actual.
it's Disney.
It's a
Okay.
Disney film.
Yep.
There's actually talk of a Rocketeer TV series coming out, if you can believe it. What else is there here? So underneath Disney within Touchstone is the Ernest movies,
Oh, I love Ernest.
and
well,
he
you know this.
he's listed. So Ernest Goes to Jail is actually up there, previous to 90. Newsies in 92, which isn't okay. Newsies is one of my favorite because
Yeah, I
number
love
one,
that
we
one.
get a young Christian Bale, and we get
I mean,
and it's just it's an absolute. I think it's an absolute brilliant movie. I love the music in it. I love listening to it. There's shouting going on in the background.
Okay.
That's what you're hearing. Encino Man was Hollywood. Sister Act was Touchstone.
oh, really?
Sister Act.
Yeah, Sister
Yes.
Act.
First and second.
Yes.
That was
So
a good
in
sequel.
92 is when Aladdin hits.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites.
I
Yep.
thought Beauty and the Beast came before that one.
Probably did. Maybe I skipped over
Pretty
it.
sure.
Hold on. Let me do the search with my find, with the Googleification. Beauty and the Beast.
You and your Aladdin, I can't.
Beauty
I love
What about
Aladdin.
Aladdin?
He's just obsessed, and I just can't get into it.
Beauty
I
and
don't
the
know
Beast.
why.
Yeah, Beauty and the
Really?
Beast. Beauty and the Beast was
Sorry.
91. Beauty and the Beast was 91.
Yep.
So yeah, okay, so let's take a look at the Disney Renaissance, and let's talk about those movies real fast because I think that will help us.
Yes.
There's
so many movies.
Yeah, so it starts with The Little Mermaid in 1989.
Yes.
Yes.
Love that movie.
And so here's the thing. They made a live action.
Haven't seen it yet.
Don't want to.
I haven't seen most of the live action remakes.
So I guess we do need to kind of take a side step into that. I have no issues with the young actress they chose to play Ariel in The Little Mermaid.
Oh, no,
That's
not
not
at
my
all.
issue. I don't care. It wasn't not an issue. I think a lot of folks' issues is the need to make a live action movie invalidates the original in a lot of ways. And there's new songs, I guess,
Oh.
in
Yeah, they
Little Mermaid.
changed the evil one. I
Yeah,
heard.
they changed that one. There's also like just we'll have to sit down and watch it probably, but a lot of the criticism is that the voices and the acting is not on par with like
The
God
original.
love Melissa McCarthy. She is not Ursula.
No,
I'm sorry, girl. Like you just know There is a because I've watched the clips of her performance.
It's enough for me to hear it.
Yeah.
That song, and I'm like, no.
Yeah.
How
So
dare you butcher this song?
The Little Mermaid is a pretty good one because it's got the
Yes.
movie, and it earned a higher weekend gross than All Dogs Go to Heaven.
For real?
I
Yeah.
have a very dear memory of seeing this in theaters as a kindergartner. You can do some math and guess how old
It
I
also
am now.
it also broke the Land Before Time's record for highest grossing animated film at that time. So the Little
That's
Mermaid,
brilliant.
the Little
Still
Mermaid
is.
in '89 just basically blows apart everything. It took down All Dogs Go to Heaven. So
That's saying something.
It is. That was
Yeah.
a good movie.
it won 2 Academy Awards for Best Original Song.
Yeah.
And so Kiss the Girl and Under the Sea won. So then we had The Rescuers Down Under, and then what I consider one of the best is Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, it's definitely.
Yes.
It is Stockholm syndrome.
Beautiful.
I mean, textbook guys.
I don't agree, but I can't argue why. It's so annoying.
Look, if we're
No.
To be fair, a lot of early Disney movies
Yes.
were problematic. in
Oh yeah,
one way or
16
another.
is not a good age to get married.
Yes. Right.
So I think here's what I will say about this, from my perspective as a language arts teacher, an English teacher, and everything else is when we look at these films through the lens of 2023. There's going to be things where we just go, oh, I don't know how you feel about that, or
Yeah.
oh, that's problematic,
Yeah.
or that's
Yeah.
Stockholm syndrome. The thing about Disney is it's not this nefarious plot to try and force the ideas of it on you. Like,
No, it's a fairy tale.
it's a fairy tale, and sometimes those fairy tales are going to have elements that you're not particularly maybe comfortable with in your world that you live in.
Sure.
That world is entirely different from the world we live in. It is a made-up fake world with fake stories and fake characters, and it's all fake. Everything's fake. It's
Yeah.
not real.
Yep.
I think there's a danger, and again, I often will talk about where I sit versus where I stand. This is where I sit. I haven't made up where I stand quite yet, to be very clear here. That we have to be mindful of how we look at films critically. We talked about Holiday Inn last week. So that's the Bing Crosby movie that came before White Christmas. There is a scene, I think for President's Day, and basically every holiday gets a song. And they're only open on the holidays at this inn. And so I think it's the President's Day scene. The actors,
Yeah, he's talking about Abraham Lincoln.
yeah, the actors all don blackface.
Oh no.
Yeah,
Yeah, we were prepared for that.
I was, but I thought that like the way I read it is like a lot of the movie companies that hosted or were selling it had edited that part out or
Right.
cut it out. At the time, Amazon did not, which is fine because I think it's important for us to go, ooh, that's bad.
I mean,
That's
learn from our history. Yeah.
that's where we crossed the line too many. That's inappropriate. You shouldn't be in blackface. Yada 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 yada. So that's where I kind of sit. Is yeah. So the Beauty and the Beast, Stockholm syndrome, absolutely. But there's also a different story. A story that's being told here. The story of the Beast and his refusal to let that woman in, and the curse she put upon him, and how he needed to get over himself, and he needed to be a better man, and
Yeah.
and how his decision didn't just affect him, it affected his whole castle. It affected everybody. And so there's so much more at play there. I'm not discounting the criticism lens that people apply to media. I think it's important, but I feel and I sit in this idea, again, haven't taken a stand on it yet, that the danger of seizing on something with a lens and not letting go, saying this is what this is, this should be banned, or we shouldn't be watching this, or this shouldn't be shown.
Well, and I mean, on the other side of the fence, you have a movie like Tropic Thunder that is still loved today.
Right.
People
Ooh, that's a good
love
point.
that movie.
Yeah. And I can guarantee you try to make Tropic Thunder today, ain't
No.
happening.
No.
I don't think the actor would.
No,
do
I don't
it.
think Robert Downey Jr. would do it either.
That's right.
But it's interesting because that's another conversation for another time.
Yeah.
So the danger with critical lenses is if we hold on to those lenses too much and keep them on our faces, we miss out on what is actually the story and what the movie is and what.
Throwing the baby out with the bathwater,
Right.
I think.
So there's kind of my statement on that, and if you guys want to enter into that conversation, you can, or if you're just happy to let that one go, I'm happy to let that one go. But Beauty and the Beast is a fantastic, like the scene of them
Beautiful.
dancing in the ballroom. I can visualize it in my head because the music and the animation and
Yeah.
it's epic.
Yeah,
It's
it's
an
good.
epic moment in film to just be like, whoa, they did that. they did that in a film, in an animation movie, and I feel something attached to that.
And the technology was very advanced for that time.
yeah.
With that scene.
Yeah. So yeah, Beauty and the Beast. Now, can we take a moment and talk about the remake, about the live? Have you guys seen the live action?
I have not.
I
Seen
didn't
I
think
it.
it
think
was too
I
bad.
have, but I don't remember much.
It has
of
Emma Watson.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I have seen it.
Yeah. The danger with that one is they tried to fix, quote unquote, what people felt was wrong with the original.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And the very few shining spot, Emma Watson's okay. She's not a singer. And
He's
they're-
all right.
Sideways, the guy Sideways on YouTube, he actually talks about how they wrote the film for Emma Watson without thinking that, oh, we might have to actually have her sing. And so it does get, and there's no shame on Emma Watson. Like, she does the best she can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was like they definitely didn't do her any favors with how they chose her for the actor as the actress and everything like that. But the only really improvement was Gaston.
He was amazing.
Yeah, him and Josh
And
Gad.
LeFou is really good too.
Josh
Who's
Gad
the
plays
voice of Olaf in
Yep.
Frozen.
Yeah,
I love Olaf.
yeah. Josh Gad plays his assistant, and that whole interplay through the whole movie.
Yeah.
People,
that's brilliant.
People praised it. People were like, "This is the thing you improved on. Keep that,
Okay.
but don't do anything with the rest of it. Like, the rest of it was fine as it was, but don't do this. Like, don't change. Like, this is great. You did a great job with this."
What else has the actor who plays Gaston been in? He's an incredible actor. He's been in a number of really cool films.
He is. Okay, Aladdin and Lion King.
Both are my
Yes.
top 5.
Totally. You gotta put
Love
Lion King up there.
Yes.
And
Lion-
I'm with you on
I
Aladdin for
actually,
sure.
I actually like both of their live action remakes.
You like the Lion King remake?
Well, I like John Oliver's voice as Yazoo. So.
Oh dear God. Okay.
Probably the only.
Where-
I wanna see that
the
Aladdin
rest of
remake.
it.
Let's step outside. This is this is where
I'm not saying I think it looks.
Oh no
goofy that they-
don't even try and walk yourself back, Phil. It's on like Donkey Kong. Let's go.
Okay.
Get your gloves on. Here's the thing about John Oliver. He's a great comedian.
Yeah.
He's a terrible voice actor. I'm sorry.
Okay.
He's the perfect.
No, the original Zazu is who we should have had. Why? So this is my point. Why did we not use the actors and the voice actors that we had before? Like,
There's probably a good
they're
reason.
iconic. Zazu is not John Oliver.
Well, Jonathan Taylor Thomas is like what, our age now? Let's he was the voice
Well,
of young Simba. Let's
that I'm fine with.
Okay.
Whatever. You figure that out. But the rest of the cast. Now here's the thing though, because they brought back James Earl Jones, and if you listen to
Good.
James Earl Jones in this movie and compare him to Lion King, the original, it's an entirely different performance. So in the original Lion King, he was a youthful,
Yeah.
father, and I am well, yeah, Simba, you must do this. They recorded him again in 2022 or whatever, 2021, and he sounds old and tired. And it's still James Earl Jones, but it's been a couple years. It's been 20 plus years, and that voice is getting old. That body is getting old, and it doesn't sound like Mufasa anymore. It sounds like Grandpa Mufasa. And I know that's probably mean, but I'm just like,
Well, it's like with the Aladdin one, everyone hates Will Smith in that, and I thought.
Oh,
it did
I loved
fine.
Will Smith in
See,
that. That's
here-
the only
there-
I'd
thing
like
I
to see it because I haven't
There's
seen it.
actually on YouTube. There's a video where they mash up. God, what is the song? I play it all the time. Actually,
Never had a friend like me.
yeah. So they like mash. I think it's that one, but they mash up Robin Williams' version with Will Smith's version,
Yeah.
and it sounds like the two genies are having a back and forth.
Like a battle, like a rap battle.
Yeah, almost, and it's really good.
well, so
Cool.
and something that again, the guy, he's not my friend. Good Lord, he's not a friend of the show. He's a big deal on the YouTube. So let me find his actual username before I say anything else. So he actually he's done some digs into this stuff. Sideways. I gotta find
Vicky,
it.
I will actually say the music in the live action is epic.
I was listening to Arabian Nights and I didn't put two and two together. That's Will Smith singing. I'm like, oh, it's actually pretty good. So now I'm intrigued. I'd like to check it out.
Sideways 440 is the username on YouTube, and let me give you a short rundown of his latest videos. Why Mulan 2020 didn't work. Why the music in Cats 2019 is worse than you thought. The problem with autotune. Why a Goofy movie is better than you remember. And Amen, that movie is a masterpiece. That's a Disney movie that anyway.
Which movie?
Goofy movie.
Oh,
love
one of,
Goofy.
oh
yeah.
my!
Yeah.
He introduced
That movie's
Justina
so
to it.
weird though, in a way. I just watched a YouTube video of not long ago that was like, who was this for? And I'm like, clearly me.
Everybody. It was like, it has some hard-hitting moments. Anyway, so
Yeah.
then another video is why the music in Les Miserables is worse than you thought. Why the music in the Skywalker felt misleading. Why the music in live-action Disney remakes is worse than you thought. Yeah, the soundtrack to Shrek is actually genius. What makes Disney music sound nostalgic? He talks about leitmotif, or whatever the term is, and it's like absolutely some of the brilliant, he's a master of sound, and he understands. One of his videos that probably you would love, Vicky, is Why I Love Fantasia, and he goes through all of that. He is your kindred spirit in music because
what's his name again?
His name is Sideways 440 on
Sideways
YouTube.
440.
He has 949,000 subscribers. So hopefully, fingers crossed,
He'll get to 500,000.
50K to $1 million. So we just got to get 50K more to get to $1 million. Well, actually, no, he's 50.
Yeah,
60,
Fantasia's brilliant.
52. Anyway,
At first graders just still love it.
so here's my point, and here's where my Lion King issues, and why I have an issue with a lot of the remakes. There's no reason, absolutely, and I know this is hyperbole, so forgive me. There is no reason, and I'm pounding on the table with emphasis, that they needed to make these live remakes.
Oh, no, I agree.
I agree with that.
Cinderella was good. After that, I feel like it's gone downhill, mostly.
And
There's
it's
been so many live action Cinderellas.
yes,
Like a
Hillary,
bajillion.
True.
Hillary Duff did
It's
one.
a bit ridiculous. So many Cinderellas.
Well, and somebody was making the conversation that the Cinderella remake that they made, like they compared it to like the other Cinderellas. They're like these Cinderellas were a better Cinderella story than this one, and it's like yeah, because the beauty of the Disney Renaissance is they were new ideas.
Yeah.
You had never seen a Lion King before.
Right.
You had never had, because I think it's basically the story of Hamlet, I believe. Told,
Hamlet versus kind of Joseph from the Bible a little bit. It's
Right.
a mix of different things.
right.
It's
So
cool.
it's very Shakespearean.
Yes.
So every story that they've told has either had a fairy tale piece from the old stories, or it had from Shakespeare, or it mixed and matched. And the brilliance of those stories is they told something new. The reason why Lion King, the movie, is so beloved is the music, the art style, and the story. You look at Simba as that camera zooms into his face or whatever as he sees the stampede happening, and Simba is terrified. And when his father dies,
It's so emotional.
it is.
I literally cry every
People
time
get
we-
emotional.
Oh, it's
people
so rough.
People get emotional because it works.
Yeah.
The way that they wrote that movie and that they drew that movie and they animated that movie, you feel that moment and you hate Scar. And those hyenas, man, their song, man, oh man, like, but it's perfect. You didn't, and I get it. Like you want to try and like make it relevant for new audiences, but guess what? I guarantee you put the real Lion King in front of a kid, and you have them watch that, and then you put them through the live action, they're gonna be like, that's what I want. I want that.
Right.
Give me that. Give me the original. Give me the good stuff.
I want to say, and maybe lead into maybe another episode sometime about this. I did not realize the Hamlet connection.
Yeah.
And on that note, I wanted to bring up. Have you guys seen the movie Oh Brother Where Art Thou?
Yeah.
Oh, it's brilliant.
Yeah, it's based on the Odyssey.
It's fun to watch
Based
with
on
him,
the
by the way.
Odyssey. Yeah.
Because he
So,
gives all
like,
the references to
I would
it.
love to do an episode on
Absolutely.
Oh Brother
Yes,
Where Art
please.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's,
Well,
yes.
and what I love about Oh Brother Where Art Thou is that's another movie where they took and they adapted. They didn't reboot. They didn't try and tell it shot for shot. They took it and said, okay, we're going to put our own spin on it, and it's going to make sense, but it's also going to be really wacky and weird, and it's going to be fun. And the music in that movie,
Oh,
It's
it's amazing.
just like the soundtrack. If you're listening and you haven't listened to that soundtrack in your lifetime,
You're missing out.
oh, it's so good. And it's the Soggy Bottom Boys, and
Oh,
it's
yeah.
just like
I had to look up if George Clooney was actually singing. He was not.
yeah,
No.
he was not.
No.
But some of the actors in that movie are actually part of the band.
Yeah.
And it's a fantastic little movie. But yeah, you're right. It's based on an old story.
Yep.
And this is
Which I didn't know until we watched it together. And, you gave
now
me all
you
the
can never
references.
unsee that.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's the power of literature. And so I get it why people are always like, Shakespeare, whatever. But here's the thing. Shakespeare has stuck with us for 400 plus years because those stories are compelling. The madness of King Lear is compelling because we understand what's happening to him. We understand his daughters are conspiring against him. We understand Hamlet's despair at his father's death and his uncle's hand in that, and his mother's, and like we understand his madness or pretended madness. We understand Othello's rage. We understand Iago's manipulations, as terrible as they were. We get why he's trying to just bring down Othello and bring down the world around him, because they're real, and what they do is real, and the way that they react to the world and interact with it is real. There's no, you don't like, oh, well, that doesn't, that's no, that's not. But it's done in a way that it's like, yeah, that's believable because he wrote it, and it's been adapted so well that you're like, yeah, that makes sense. I'm not going to question that moving on to the next scene. You don't get stuck trying to go like, well, I don't know about that, which is a lot of times with a lot of the modern movies. That's where I get stuck. It's unfortunate.
That's fair.
Okay, any other? We move on to Tarzan, Hunchback, Notre Dame, Pocahontas.
Hunchback.
Slow down. You can't do that.
You're not going to
And we have-
blaze past Tarzan.
Or even we have to talk about Colors of the Wind from Pocahontas.
Oh, yeah.
That song alone.
That goes first. So, go ahead.
So here's the thing about Pocahontas. Pocahontas takes a story, the original story, and this is my one disagreement with that movie. It's brilliantly written. It's brilliantly artistically drawn, and the music is incredible.
That song.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
but when you start reading into the actual story of what happens to Pocahontas and John Smith,
it's not even.
it's
Not close.
you go what? You could have found a way to name it something else or done it without tying in. And I know, like, you want to tell the Pocahontas story, but it's not the Pocahontas story.
No.
And it's the scene where the Native American indigenous are going to war against the English settlers or whatever.
Yep.
The lyrics are really racist, but it's both sides thing. It's
that one was like, some people think I'm a savage.
yeah.
It's one of my. I love that song.
It's
That's one of the ones I'm doing with my choir.
yeah.
Because I'm like,
Cool.
there's just such a cool thing about like looking at another person's side
Yeah.
and not getting caught up by the color of their skin. Then I'm like,
I could also
let's
see
do
like
this.
some rappers sampling that. Some people think I'm a savage.
yeah. Well, in this day and age.
21.
you have to change your words. Yeah.
So yeah, there's parts of this that Pocahontas is one of the Disney movies that I'm like, nope, we should have done something different, because it feels manipulative and trying to manipulate my emotions and manipulate how I feel. The characters are well acted, the songs are well done, but it's not like, it's probably in my top or my bottom.
I agree.
100, like, it's at the bottom of the list of Disney movies because I'm just like, I'm not really bought into this idea. This is kind of, and I think because I know the story and I know what really happened, I'm like, no.
Yeah.
You
So-
could use it with kids to get them curious and say, hey, this was a real person as
Yeah.
a jumping off point to the story. You could use it that way.
Yeah. So Pocahontas is not my favorite. The next Disney animated film, it says, Wikipedia says, Pocahontas opened to mixed reviews,
Yeah.
although it still earned $346 million worldwide and
Came
garnered.
right after Lion King, I think.
Yep,
Yeah.
garnered 2 Academy Awards for Best Original Music or Comedy Score.
Had it on VHS back in the day, you know.
Yeah, it was a lot lower in box office compared to Lion King, which had earned a lot more
Can't compare it
last
to
year.
Lion King.
Yeah.
So now we come to Hunchback of Notre Dame.
In my opinion, one of the best / most evil villains in a
Yes.
Disney
Yes.
film.
Yeah.
You can't get much worse than what's his name?
Yeah.
The priest or whoever.
Yeah, I love Hunchback for the music
The gargoyles.
and the gargoyles. It is,
There's an interesting fan theory I heard saying, what if the gargoyles were not actually there and it says psychosis?
yeah.
I don't know what I think about that, but I've heard that.
Yeah. So hilariously enough, Demi Moore was
Yep.
the voice for Esmeralda.
Yep.
Was not the singing voice, however. That was done by somebody else.
They do that a lot.
Yeah.
They
and
separate.
So here's
They haven't always done it, though.
what they did. I think they did that with Lion King. They did that with a bunch of the early
They did it with
animated-
Mulan.
Yep. So in the
And
live
Aladdin.
action Lion King, they did not. So the poor kid who was the live action Simba was not the greatest singer, and so it kind of a lot of people were kind of like, man, this doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, and Kevin Kline was Captain Phoebus, whatever. So there's Jason Alexander was a bunch of people apparently. Good Lord, he was everything.
Huh.
Yeah, he was Hugo. I love this movie because it's just the art. Like I instantly recognize it when I see it, either a clip or I see it on a meme or whatever. It's just, again, the reason why the Disney Renaissance is so good because they're such good movies.
They are.
Obviously, like Pocahontas is the exception. Hercules is just wild.
Yeah.
I love it just because of Greek mythology.
There's some Hercules.
From zero to
That's
hero,
fun.
From
Like
zero,
that whole
yeah.
gospel kind of
From zero
feel
to
for the intro song.
From zero to hero in no time flat. I love the part of the song where he's like, and a name, a face on every vase, on every vase. Like the singers are giving each other shade, and it's just like the way that they wrote that music and the way that they told that. It's a fantastic little movie, and God help them if they ever try and remake Hercules as a live
Don't
action.
do it.
Don't
Please.
do it.
No,
Please don't, Disney. Just don't do it.
We already have those movies. It's called Clash of the Titans.
Oh yeah,
No, the old one.
the old one, the original
original.
with the weird owl clock or whatever.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
Love that dude.
And then they made it with Liam Neeson, and that was, I liked it ish.
If you want to watch a dumb action movie, put that one on.
Yeah, yeah. Because the reveal of the Kraken was just release the Kraken. It's a cool looking thing, but that was the thing about a lot of that early CGI stuff is it didn't look good. All right, so now we got to talk about Mulan, of course.
Oh, come on. Mulan's really good. I'd just leave live action out of it. I liked it.
Yeah, no, the live action's
No.
terrible.
I have not seen the live action.
I haven't seen live
I
action.
loved Eddie Murphy as
Oh, come on. Mushu.
Mushu, yeah, and
The cricket is one of my favorite characters. He's just so funny.
it has one of my favorite Disney songs, "Make a Man Out of You," and the only reason why it's one of my favorites is because someone on YouTube parodied it and it's called it "Make a Mon Out of You," and it's Ash from Pokemon training his Pokemon.
No.
And you got one little Digimon with a little coin taped to his head trying to pretend to be Meowth, and it's like,
No,
we'll make a Mon out of you. you know?
that's funny. So Zoe, you were kind of not so hot on Mulan.
Curious.
As a child, no. It was
Really?
not like probably in my top 5.
Why is that?
Now, I don't know. I think because everyone else liked it and I wanted to be different.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just to
gotcha.
be honest.
Edgy.
Okay.
Yeah. And then now, of course, it's feminist.
Yeah.
Very early for its time.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
Of course. Yeah.
It's interesting. The live action takes away all the singing. Like there's no
What?
music.
There's no singing?
Yeah, there's none.
Oh yeah, that's
So
right.
I might
I
like
did hear
it.
that.
Nah. I would be very curious. Watch it and report back
Okay.
because the reviews and part of Sideways, part of his statement, the video he made 2 years ago, he said why Mulan 2020 didn't work. It's a 25-minute video. It is fantastic.
Okay.
He is so Sideways is he's either a student of music or he's actually working in the music industry. But he his takedown of Cats and of Les Mis, the Cats takedown is an hour and 4 minutes long, and then his Les Mis takedown is 38 minutes and 37 seconds. I'm gonna put us on pause for a second. I'm gonna try and find this. You're either gonna love it or hate it, but let me find it for a second. All right, so we took a small pause, but we're gonna pick back up. So this is from Sideways 440 on YouTube, and this is his this is his hour-long video on Cats. So he loses it, and I love it because I would lose it on Timothy Hooper, whatever his name is. Here we go.
My blood pressure rise. You would never, ever just suddenly slow down on a whim and expect the orchestra to bend around you. I don't know how or why Timothy Hooper and the powers that be have all of these horrible preconceived notions about music that are all just entirely wrong, but they, along with this film, have single-handedly proved that we do not, in any way, shape, or form, live in a meritocracy. This is backwards to how live
gonna have to
performances
edit that.
work.
He will.
Hell, even pre-recorded ones. You never record the voice and then write the music around it. Ever. Ever. There are countless videos and stories of someone screwing up on stage and then the orchestra just keeps chugging along. They don't care if you messed up. That's not their job. They play the music and you have to pray to God that your brain fires up again before the end of the piece. Best case scenario, your conductor's going to give you a sympathetic frown, tell you to do your best, and then go right back to the music.
Yep.
There's no
Speaking as a
reason
conductor.
to do what they did. Here's a question that no one ever decided to answer. Why did they need a 5-track system that helped the performers sing to certain cues and eventually elect to
Wait
just
for it.
not keep the beat? Why did they need additional piano cues to help them keep their place? Because, and heaven forgive me if I'm overstepping my bounds here, but it sounds like they just didn't know the music. If
Yeah.
you're changing the
I
accompaniment in the
agree.
middle of takes to help your performers keep track of what they're doing with the music, then guess what? Your performers don't know the music. James Corden got top billing for this show, and he only had to perform his song in 20-second chunks. Hey, Tommy, Tombo, my man. If you wanted to capture the live energy of a real performance, then maybe you could, I don't know, treat it like a real performance. Talk to the music department and your performers. Figure out what everyone wants.
So
Get
anyway,
him to practice.
he
Love
looped.
the
Oh my gosh.
That's almost an hour into that video. He takes down all of Cat's, so he does it to Les Mis, and so the Les Mis connection is that they had, and I don't know if you've watched this video, but
I haven't seen it.
Hugh
no.
Jackman talks about how they literally sang all day and didn't drink water, or he wouldn't drink water before to try and starve himself. He didn't drink water before.
This is Les Mis. Yeah, well, no, we've talked about this.
He didn't drink water, stuff that was just that look. Zoe's look is just open face, what? So there's this that's. So anyway,
Who is the music director on that
For
particular
real.
film?
You know
and
what?
how do they still have a job? See, some of these people are crazy.
Yep.
And the thing they do to musicians really
Yeah.
irks me.
So I think the deal with Mulan, to circle back to that, we took a step off for a second, but the thing with Mulan is it tries to do the feminist thing.
Yeah.
It tries. And I think a lot of the criticism, again, we put that criticism lens on, but we take it off after we do this, is that it's not effective. Is that it's still a man's world. It's still, it tries, and it does an okay job. I just lean into the music. I love the music. I love the particular the characterization of Mulan. I appreciate I like it as a piece of film and a piece of work of art. But I think that criticisms are valid because is it not done the best? Is there a little whatever? Yeah, sure there is. But I don't have an answer from where I stand to be this makes it okay. So what I do love about this movie, though, is they did the voice actor is Ming-Na Wen, who she was originally. So she was in ER. So she was in Book of Boba Fett. So that's where she's been doing acting for a long time, but she was in ER for a long time, and then she got Mulan, and then Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and then she was in The Bad Batch, Book of Boba Fett, and all kinds of stuff. She's legit. She is an incredible actress, and she is now 59.
Oh.
Mulan is 59 years old.
Wow.
Anyway, Ming-Na has been, she's really legit.
Who did they cast for the live action Mulan?
I can tell you if I was looking in the right place. She was also an actress who was of the 2020 film. Yeah. So well, if I could find the actors, starring. I got to pronounce this correctly because I'm going to be in trouble if I don't, and I don't want to. Lu Yifei.
Sounds familiar.
Crystal. Well, her Anglification name is Crystal Lu, but she was born An Feng in '87. So yeah, she's a successful actress. The criticism of Mulan, the live action, is that there was no music, there was no singing. It was a very, very straight-laced movie, and there was a lot of elements that they threw in there that weren't in the original, and people were just like, wait, why are you having? There was a chi was a concept of power or something in there, and that people really didn't. It's one of those things where it's Disney wanted to tell another story or wanted to retell the story, but in order to take a story from the golden age, from the Renaissance of Disney, in 2022, 2023, you can, but people are going to lose their minds on you. They're going to yell at you. And instead of going, I don't want to say courageous, that's not the right word, but instead of going hey, we're going to make a good movie, we're going to make a movie that's not the Mulan movie, but it's going to be a movie that's similar to Mulan, but we're going to do it with another character from the Chinese culture or whatever. We're going to figure that, we'll do that. We'll make it happen. Right. And they could have. It would have been probably a solid movie. But when you try and represent a character that's beloved by millions, and then you take it and you take everything out of that movie that they loved, right, wrong, or indifferent, well, there's going to be an impact. And that's kind of what happened with Mulan. It's I don't know. Mulan is shaky with me as well as Pocahontas because it's that. Oh, did we handle it right? Was it? What do we take from it? So yeah, moving on from the Mulan conversation. Tarzan.
Okay, I'm gonna pass this around. This little meme I got pulled up on my phone here.
Okay.
Get
Remember,
you
Phil,
guys-
it's a story about a guy raised by gorillas. Nothing too crazy. Phil Collins, yes. Okay, so
It's
yes,
all about the music.
I
Yeah,
love
yeah.
the Tarzan music. Phil
I have
Collins.
several songs from that movie on my playlist.
We had the third graders sing "You'll Be in My Heart" at the fifth grade continuation. Brought the house down. Everybody was like crying and getting emotional. It was great.
Yeah, it's like
Trash the Camp is fun.
because it was so NSYNC had their version of it, which still slaps to this day. I will
Yes.
play it and I will jam out.
Strangers Like Me is
Oh,
like
the
I
whole
have it-
soundtrack.
the whole
Honestly.
thing memorized
Yeah.
in my brain.
Yeah.
It's interesting that they did give him almost full control over the
He did
soundtrack.
not need to go that
they
constantly.
were like, well, who could really do this? Well, there's this guy named Phil, and he might
Not
have
me.
yeah,
I wish.
not that Phil. This might be a good idea. Let's give it
It's
to
a
him.
great idea.
was.
Well, and not only that, but the animation and the way they drew that,
Yeah.
it was an improvement. It was an elevation, but it was just like, oh my gosh.
It's beautifully
Fun
done.
fact: the director, I believe, was his son was just getting at the age where he liked skating,
Yeah.
so that's why Tarzan.
Oh,
does that.
skates
Oh,
through the
cool.
branches.
That makes sense.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, it's a fun little movie, and it's got drama, it's got comedy,
Yeah.
and yeah, Phil Collins blows this movie apart.
Yeah.
Fire.
It
Yeah.
rocks it, and I'll still listen to that soundtrack to
Oh,
this
yeah,
day.
me too.
I'll jam out to it. I'm like, yeah, this is the good stuff.
Not even realizing that is Disney sometimes.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, it was one of the last. It's the end of the Disney Renaissance, and here's the interesting. That's the best. The "You'll Be in My Heart" song was nominated won an Academy Award actually for Best Original Song.
Hey, how
It's an
about that?
Academy
Oh, I
Award
should tell
winning-
my kids that. They'll get a kick out of it.
Yep. Became Disney's most commercially successful film since The Lion King, earning $448 million at the box office.
Wow.
So, if you think about it, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hold on, I gotta do this right. 1, 2. I can't count in my head. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this includes Rescuers Down Under. Hilariously enough, so we got Little Mermaid, Rescuers Down Under, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, Lion King, Pocahontas, Hunchback, Hercules, Mulan, Tarzan. That's the Renaissance of Disney.
Renaissance.
Yep, that's where it ended.
And there's some kind of revival recently, though. I can think about Tangled and Frozen.
Yeah.
What is that? I feel like, does that period have a name? Or recently things have come
Probably.
back?
So yeah, that's an interesting thing. So, but here's the thing: it's like was that none of that was Pixar, right? It was only Disney
It was
animation.
Disney.
Disney
Yeah.
animation. So Tangled is fun because it has that spirit of like the Emperor's New Groove, and it's like she broke my smolder, it didn't work, kind of deal. And then you had Frozen, which was just like that thing went nuclear.
Oh, and the music is.
Let it go, let it go.
Well, even
It's
the
still a
second one.
thing.
Yeah.
It's still.
Yeah,
The second movie had, I think, even better music.
I have
That's
not-
it just got
beautiful.
better
I
and better.
agree.
I
This
haven't
is something
I-
that gets your goosebumps in a
Yes.
good way.
I
Yeah.
haven't seen Frozen 2. I don't know if that
It's
makes
not bad.
Okay.
I don't know how you'd feel. You're the movie critic over there.
I don't know. I have a lot of feelings, but it's been a commercial like explosion. It's all everything everywhere all at once is Frozen.
I watched Frozen
2.
when I was overseas, and Anna for me, I feel like it's me as a Disney character,
Yeah.
singing, dancing around, but still knocking things over and being awkward. It's me. It's
Yeah.
me as a cartoon.
Yeah. Fun fact: I replaced my CD player like 10 years ago, or however long it was. And the first, I was like, I liked the Frozen soundtrack at the time. Still like it. It's okay, but I will not listen to it over
It's
and over.
okay.
Well, guess what? Here's the best part. In my CD player, stuck in it because the ejector doesn't work, is the Frozen soundtrack.
That's what you get, karma.
Yes.
That's what I get.
It's
So I have
just
not.
okay.
I have not turned it on. I keep it on my Spotify Bluetooth, and I'm not because I know I'll be like, oh, I'm gonna get stuck listening to Frozen soundtrack. So it's been in there since Frozen came out. Which
All of those songs are even on my counselor playlist for my
Yeah.
office. Like,
So good.
they're all amazing.
yeah. So there's your Disney Renaissance, and here's the thing. I think, ooh, my
What was
microphone,
that?
my microphone got hit. Disney still has stories to tell.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. They bought Pixar because Pixar was beating them. Pixar was telling incredible stories between Toy Story, everything they did, Cars, the whole 9 yards. Their stories were incredible.
Yeah.
And now it's like we look to Disney and they're doing all the live action and nobody really wants them. They don't really resound. Like I watched bits and pieces of the Lion King live action. I was like, this is boring. Give me something that has expression. Give me something that has feeling. I can see Simba's eyes as his dad falls. I can feel that. I can't feel that in the live action because of how it's designed and written.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess I'm gonna be an old Disney fan for a while, for most of my life, until they come up with something like, what's the next Disney? I mean, we could look at this. I'm sure it's all because here's the thing.
There's something to be said for the classics, though.
I'm curious about this Elemental movie that just came out.
I am too.
That's
I've
Pixar,
heard.
right?
I've had kids that are like, "You need to see it, Mrs. Delay,"
Okay.
but sometimes I take with a grain of salt. But I'm curious.
I'll tell you what, DreamWorks Animation Studios has been a huge competitor lately. Like, I heard the new Puss in Boots movie.
Yeah, it actually was really good.
Really good.
I heard like people were like, "Wow, this is actually quite solid."
Yeah, there's a scene where Puss has a panic attack, and I've read that like it's one of the best portrayals and most authentic ways of like dealing with that in a film.
Wow.
Yeah. So let's take a look at the movies that are coming out from Disney. This is from September 5th, 2023. They have 33 major movies coming out in 2023, if you can believe it.
33.
Yeah, here we go. Let's start with give me the list, computer. Give it to me now.
I'm nervous.
This is going to be back. So here, let's take a look at 2023 so far. Okay.
Okay.
Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Didn't see it.
I'm just over Marvel.
Yeah. So let's talk about
Marvel
that for a second.
fatigue. Yeah.
There's something called Marvel fatigue, or even just superhero fatigue. Like the new commercials for the Miss Marvel, the Marvel movie came out, and I'm like, I can't even keep up. Like, and that's the danger, I think, is people are like 20. You got, did we say 33 or 23?
33.
33. Gee, golly willikers. So you got 33 movies coming out in just 1 year alone. That's at least what? Is that 2 movies? No, that's like more like 3 movies a month.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Dang.
So
Not to mention all the series that they're putting out.
yeah, so this is the thing. We have a glut of content. So I don't like, and this is going to sound super hyperbole, so forgive me when you hear it and don't freak out and send me emails. I like, given all the content that I could get my hands on, I don't care about the actor strike. You have put so much content on Disney Plus alone that doesn't talk about Hulu, Apple Plus, Netflix, everything else like the CBS, Paramount Plus, all of this content. We have so many shows coming out to us that it's just like, what are you? But yeah, I haven't watched a Marvel movie since.
It was the one where Iron Man was killed, I think. What was that last one we saw? The end. That's the last one we saw.
That's what
I didn't even get that far.
I haven't watched Loki. I know Loki season 2 is on its way, but I didn't watch the original. Anyway, so Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, didn't watch it. Chang Can Duck on March 10th was Disney Plus. Another show on Hulu that I didn't watch, Rye Lane on Hulu. So this is the thing, like, these movies are coming out on different platforms. It's like, could you just put everything on Disney Plus, please?
For real.
Prom Pact was on. So this is movies coming out on Disney Plus, which is where they're shoving a lot of this stuff.
Sure.
Quasi, April 20th on Hulu. Cavalier, April 21st. Didn't watch that. Peter Pan and Wendy was April 28th on Disney Plus. Didn't watch that.
I didn't even know it was coming.
Me either.
That's a movie that doesn't need any
It was
sequels.
well,
It
it's
doesn't.
interesting. So it's Jude Law as Captain Hook. So
I think I've heard
he
about this.
reimagines the remake of Disney's 1953 Peter Pan. They'll put but here's what I feel. It says in Expo at 2022 D23's Expo, fans were told the film would put a bigger focus on Wendy as she joins Peter Pan in Neverland. And I don't know how I feel about that. Wendy is the mystery. She is the curiosity in this story, and not enough is given to her, I guess. And depending on how it will work, it will also show more of the history of Peter's rivalry with Captain Hook. But it's also like, we've already had so many Peter Pan movies.
Yeah.
Like, first of all, the original is one of the better ones. And then you have Hook
I
with
loved
Robin
Hook.
Williams and everybody. Like that movie is almost that's almost the Peter Pan movie you should watch.
Yeah,
because
I
it's just
agree.
that good. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, we reviewed that and
Yep.
we hated it. Hated is a strong. Yeah, no,
Hate's too strong a word, I think.
the first half is great, and then they tried to throw in the kitchen sink to finish out the series. If you watch it, just know that
Oh yeah.
I don't think we've seen the newest one.
We
so.
haven't seen it, but I've had it spoiled, and I can understand.
it's absurd. It has a good part with like Rocket and his story, but then it tries to like tie it all up and have everything be sunshine and rainbows, and it's like that is not how this series works. So that was a disappointment. Crater, Disney Plus.
I don't know what that is.
Okay, this one I haven't seen, but they did a remake or reimagining of the movie White Man Can't Jump.
Oh yeah, who are the actors?
Jack Harlow and Shanique Walls.
Jack Harlow.
So they're apparently in that. It's on
I wanted you to say that because I wanted Zoe's reaction.
So,
to Jack
rapper.
Harlow.
May 19th is when that's supposed to come out. Little Mermaid hit us on May 26th. The Boogeyman on June 2nd.
Based on Nightmare Before Christmas, that boogeyman?
No, it's based on Stephen King's 1978 short story,
Got it.
a Disney movie. Apparently, it's on. It's going to be on Hulu
Disney's
again.
doing a Stephen King film?
I don't know.
Gosh.
I don't know what to think about
Flamin'
that.
Hot was on Hulu. It was a story of the hot Cheetos phenomenon. The
Oh,
guy who is
wow.
alleged to have made it. I've seen the trailers. They're interesting.
They do look interesting.
Stan Lee movie. Elemental on June 16th. That's what came out recently. World's
interested in
Best, which is another show on Disney Plus. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, which got
Stop.
really
Just stop
it-
making Indiana Jones.
it didn't get good reviews. I'm gonna have to sit down and watch it, and that's maybe what we'll do for a future episode. But I have a feeling I'm just gonna really be angry when I watch it. Theater Camp, which I don't know what that's all
Why
about.
are they doing that?
I just
Camp Rock and all.
I
those?
don't ask questions. I just nod and smile at Disney. Haunted Mansion, which again is another addition to the
That
system.
came out in the summer.
Yeah,
I'll watch
July
it.
28th. Vacation Friends 2 on Hulu. I guess it's a sequel to something. A Haunting in Venice, which stars Kenneth Branagh, which is one of my favorite actors of all time. So The Haunting in Venice comes actually just released on September 15th. He plays Detective Poirot, Hercule Poirot, which he's done in the last like 3 or 4 movies as well. No One Will Save You, September 22nd on Hulu.
Didn't you say that was horrible? You started it.
I think is that the alien
Caitlin
one?
Yeah, the alien
Dever
one.
is on No.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I
experiences
watched-
an alien invasion.
I watched
can't believe
20
that's
minutes of it
Disney.
and stopped it. It's on Hulu.
Yeah, it's on.
I still can't get over the Stephen King
yeah.
remake.
So
Yeah,
is it?
that-
So it
that's-
wasn't good.
I watched like the first 20 minutes of it and stopped.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. The Creator, September 29th. I've heard mixed reviews on this one. It's a sci-fi kind of movie, and it was the idea of like there's AI creator, and it's in the AI is a child, and what I heard was it's overwrought. It was they really worked hard to try and make a point with it.
Yeah.
It was about AI and about letting an AI run or control or whatever, and it just people didn't like it because it was like this is a speechifying film. You're trying to tell me how to live my life, and the plot was just full of holes. Quiz Lady on November 3rd on Hulu, which is Awkwafina and Sandra Oh. That sounds interesting. The Marvels, which is coming out on November 10th. That's the movie with Brie Larson, Iman Vellani, and Tayon Paris as Captain Monica Rambeau. So there's the 3 Marvels. There are a lot of feelings about Brie Larson. I'm not going to get into it. So this movie has been reshot, has been rescheduled, has been pushed, and there's just a lot of feelings about like this is not.
Every time I watch a trailer, I'm like, I don't want to watch
Yeah,
this.
I don't. It doesn't sound interesting to me.
Which tells you everything you need. If you don't want to watch the trailer,
Yeah.
don't see the movie.
Next Goal Wins on November 17th. This is on a true story regarding he tried to lead the American Samoa soccer team into the World Cup qualifier. I've seen the trailer for it. It looks interesting. There's actually a book. It's based on a book, and I'm kind of interested about that. Wish is November 22nd. This is the next big animated film will focus on the origin story of the wishing star seen across many Disney classics. The film will follow Asha, Ariana DeBose, in the Kingdom of Rosas as she sets out to save her home with a tiny cosmic sidekick named Star. Alan Tudyk, who is the guy from Serenity, who played one of the characters in that TV series and movie. Maybe this will do it. Maybe this will be a good. But it's like they're trying, like, hey, we're going to try and tell you the origin story of the wishing star. And I'm like, why? Why can't you just tell about another wishing star? Like, why do you got to tie it into your
But what about Pinocchio? Like that was fine. That's all I need.
Did you know that there's a Pinocchio movie with Pauly Shore in it?
There is not.
It's terrible.
There is not.
Blasphemy is
Can
what that is.
you pull up a clip and just so we can hear his voice as Pinocchio? Please, I need Zoe to hear this.
I love Pauly Shore, but not for that. No.
It's,
They don't go together.
No.
Yeah,
They do not.
No.
Oh man, dude! Ever
Pauly
since
Shore.
Pinocchio went in a public domain, there's been some wild stuff. There's actually a game out called Lies of P
Oh, geez.
that is actually really good. It's like a Dark Souls, and you play as Pinocchio.
Okay, well, here we go. Pinocchio, a true story.
I can't.
No.
Here's the
It's
trailer.
Pinocchio.
If
Just
you're
listen.
ready.
I want you guys to hear this.
Hold me down.
voice.
There you go. Now, what should we name you? Maybe Leonardo. No, he'd grow up to be a turtle who only cares about pizza. I don't believe my eyes. Your name will be Pinocchio.
Father, when can I leave to be on my own?
Stop!
Father.
Blasphemy.
Oh,
That was
that's
horrid.
the line I wanted you
Let's-
guys to hear.
let's-
You made a Ninja Turtles joke. That's when I knew. Like,
Let's listen some more.
Got the whole world to see.
You are too special, Pinocchio. The world is full of people who could harm you.
The timeless story.
Yeah, it's
No.
yeah, let's listen back to that original voice that we just heard. I'll turn it down a little
no,
Here
we
you go.
don't need
Here's
to do
Pinocchio.
that.
bit. Here we go. From Lions.
Father, when can I leave to be on my own? I've got the
Whiny, Father, when can I leave?
God love Pauly Shore, but that's
Why did they do that to him?
It
Why
was,
did they do that to Pinocchio?
Yeah, that was.
How
that
dare
was
you.
Pauly's fault. Hey, Pauly.
Was that a Disney
hey,
diabolical
Pauly,
thing?
we need the money for the payments on the loans that you do. Oh, I don't know, guys. Well, we can make a movie and it'll be great. You'll be a starring vehicle. Let's do this. Okay, guys, let's go.
Georgie, I think it's not good.
No.
It's not good.
Yeah, so there's
Oh man.
yeah, that
I'm so glad we all got to experience that together.
I watched a video about it a couple months back, and I was just like, "This is not real." And it's real. It's absolutely real.
But why?
So a lot of these movies are actually they're not Disney movies. They're underneath the Disney banner, which is massive. So I'm not going to go through all of these. Dashing Through the Snow, though, will be on the holiday season on Disney Plus. Lil Ray
It's like
Howery
a
and Ludacris will star in
Ludicrous.
the comedy.
Can I watch it just for that?
Yes.
I'm showing.
Let me give you the plot.
Sorry, that's where I'm at.
The comedy follows.
I get it. I get it.
Ludacris is in this. Sorry, go ahead.
The comedy follows a social worker who hates Christmas and crosses path with a man who helps restore his belief in the magic of the holiday. Like I said, Lil Ray Howery, Ludacris, and Teyona Paris star.
Who does Ludacris play? I need to
Don't
know.
know.
I need to know. What is it called again?
Don't know. There will be a movie
something about
in
Christmas.
2023 as
find
well. So, Young Woman in the Sea via Disney Plus is Daisy Ridley's next movie or show. It's a Disney Ridley-led biopic focused on the competitive swimmer Gertrude Ederle, who won gold at the 1924 Olympics and later became the first woman to swim the English Channel. Out of My Mind in Disney Plus is the first person novel about a girl living with cerebral palsy. There's a bunch of others here that they'll be releasing. But yeah, the Disney slate is a lot of streaming. There's not a lot of original Disney coming, and most of it's again Marvel or it's going to be Star Wars or whatever. And it's kind of that thing of I think people have kind of the luster of Disney is kind of gone. Yeah, it's not it's not the powerhouse that it used to be because we rely on like a Pixar or we rely on somebody else. Or Lionsgate with their Pinocchio movie.
No, take it back. Take it back.
Delete.
That's my favorite thing, I think, of all time. So, because we spent a lot of time talking about the golden age of Disney. I mean, a Goofy movie, to this day, is a movie I can watch over and over. Yeah.
Yes.
And while you're watching me.
Or just shut up.
The Leaning Tower of Cheesa.
Clearly, we're
That's
married.
Pauly Shore.
Yeah, that's Pauly
True.
Shore.
That's
as he should be.
That's a well.
It's a good role for him.
Yeah,
Yes.
he was chosen.
Fitting.
He was cast well in that role.
Yeah.
But it's like and that's I think the kind of the situation is people are realizing there's not a lot of good films, and the films that are coming out are they're very niche. Like you had Barbie, you had Oppenheimer.
Oh, Oppenheimer.
You know, you have a
Haven't
lot.
seen it.
We need to get.
guys
We
gotta
need to
watch
see
it.
it. We need to see it.
Yeah. So there's some, but there's not a lot that's like, oh, we need to go watch this at the theater. So I don't know. I don't know what the state of Hollywood is. I don't know what the future holds. I do know that I do a lot more streaming. I'll watch a lot more on stream. I won't go watch a movie in the theater anymore. We rented obviously Arsenic on Old Lace. Like,
Yeah.
we'll go back and watch those and enjoy them. And so, any other thoughts closing out here on the Disney conversation? We did an hour and 40 minutes total on this podcast.
Woo!
It's a new record.
Yeah.
That is.
Maybe.
I feel like.
We did it. We did it.
I just miss the good old days, I guess.
Yeah.
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 Quality writing, quality storytelling,
Yeah.
even quality animation.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's something even about the originals that
Yeah.
blows the minds of my students.
Yeah. Yeah.
Saying, hey guys, that's all hand drawn.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's, we talked about Star Wars last time. George Lucas got a hold of technology, and that's how he told his story versus actually telling an actual plot. And so that's the thing about it is that we miss the good old days. Now, obviously, the good old days were not perfect in any way, shape, or form. So please don't take that as saying that. All right. Well, my name's Aaron.
I'm Phil.
I'm Zoe.
I'm Vicky.
And this has been Nerds by Screenlight, our 30th episode, with many more to certainly come. And hopefully, what are we going to talk about next week?
I don't know. I'm open to anything.
Do we want to do Oh Brother?
I was thinking about that.
We could do a double feature. We could do Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, and then we'd have like a second thing.
Well, Five Nights at Freddy's comes out next Friday.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Just
We'll
throwing
be
it out
watching
there, and
that.
I
It's
will be
going to be
watching
close
it.
to Halloween.
It'll be on Peacock. You don't have to go to the theaters.
Very true.
So we really wants.
Your fast
But you
forward
could
button.
see it.
Yeah. It's
Eye
gonna get
contact
really.
going
It's
on.
gonna get. The fast forward button's gonna break. I'm like, I watched it in 5 minutes, so
Something
it was
you can
great.
do as a family.
5 minutes with Freddy's.
We could watch it as a family.
I hate all of you. Every last one of you. All
I love
right.
you too.
Yeah. I love you as well. Although I don't love Five Nights at Freddy's. All right. Well, until next time, folks, this has been Nerds by Screenlight. If you're interested in giving us some feedback or telling us what we should watch, or if you want to throw a challenge at us and be like, you should do this, and we want to see how you feel after you watch it, we do have veto power, mind you. If you tell us to do something, I can say, nope, not doing that. But
We're not watching the Pinocchio with Howard Shore.
No.
Do we draw the
Pauly
line?
Shore.
Pauly Shore?
Howard Shore is a producer. Actually, that would be the best. That would be the best Pinocchio movie. Pauly Shore and then Howard Shore is the composer, like with a Lord of the Rings
He
mix.
would make it better. He might make it better. Howard Shore, fix it.
The
Fix
beacons
it.
are lit. No, you lit Pinocchio on fire. Come on.
Guerrero del Toro.
Oh, Guillermo del Toro. Yeah,
He made a Pinocchio.
yeah, he did actually. Maybe we put that on our list. We avoid the Pinocchio. Actually, you know what? I'm going to say it at some point in the next month or so. Let's do Pauly Shore's Pinocchio.
Fine. Fine, Aaron.
Here's a trade.
If you do Five Nights at Freddy's.
I was going to say, pull that card.
Okay, all right.
If he's going to make us do that.
All right. We'll make a compromise. So coming soon to the Nerds by Screenlight podcast will be Five Nights at Freddy's and Pauly Shore's Pinocchio. I leave you with this, which is the my favorite. I'm gonna find it again because it's the best. It's the best thing in the world.
You're not playing the clip again, are you?
It's from the Muppets, isn't it?
No, actually, this is Pinocchio's true story.
Believe my eyes, your name will be Pinocchio.
Just let it ride for me.
Father, when can I leave to be on my own?
She can't even handle it. And with
Father,
that,
we can leave.
and on that note, thanks for listening. We'll see you on the next one.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I'm a real boy.
Oh my God.
The raspberry flapovers will be out in a moment. The kitchen is closed.
You've been listening to the Nerds by Screenlight podcast,
presented by Create at Morgan Productions, located in Fort Morgan, Colorado, USA. For more information on our production house, other podcasts hosted here, and further details, please visit www.createatmorgan.org. You can find us on Twitter at the handle CreateAtMorgan. Create at Morgan is a school club at Lincoln High School, our alternative education campus in Morgan County. Our sponsor is Aaron DeLay, the language arts teacher at Lincoln. Send any feedback to adelayedteacher@gmail.com. Thank you for listening to our podcast.